Happy Thursday, everyone. You're watching Night Terrors Radio, the fastest hour on the internet, or so I've been told. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. Ever vigilant, I've got Ricky Farrell with me.
Hello.
I've got our East Coast correspondent, Rob Bastilli. Brian Cardilli of the Cardilli Hill People is back.
That's right.
And we've got special guest Stacie Berry, MCPI investigator tonight. How has everyone's week been? Triumphant?
A little hectic, but good.
A little hectic. What's going on? And we got to keep this lively. We got some dead air going on here, Brian Cardilli, people. It's been a while since you were on.
It has been a while since I've been on, so glad to be back.
You should have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Can you still get within 20 feet of a target, or has that changed?
I do have a funny story about that, actually. But yeah, I think they let me back in now. Basically because I can't go in there without dropping $100 at least. So that's still okay.
Well, it's that one dressing room incident that keeps coming back to haunt you.
Well, I'm not allowed in there still.
Okay.
No,
but there's a big picture of me outside it. So
now, has everyone sort of noticed that Target obviously has changed throughout the years? Target at one time was sort of less highfalutin, but now I feel like Target is sort of elevated.
It's getting a little bougie.
Now, is it because of Walmart? Is it because of the direct comparison, do you think?
I think while Walmart's trajectory has taken this turn,
Yeah,
Target's starting to rise.
it might just be how bad Walmart is that makes Target look that much better.
Walmart's rate of descent is startling.
It is. It
It
I won't
really
even go to
is.
the one near me. I call the one near me the Star Wars Cantina.
Well, it's basically his Mos Eisley,
It's
Never have I seen a more wretched hive of scum and villainy
It is.
than when I go into Walmart. I was in there the other day and I saw a not so young woman that didn't realize, first of all, that there's a difference between leggings and pantyhose. A very noticeable difference in the light of day. And
Yes.
she had on a pair of thong underwear and just pantyhose.
I think I've seen that lady.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then a not long enough shirt.
I apologize for my cousin.
And when you say cousin, you mean your stage name.
Right.
Right.
That's the cousin.
Yeah.
Does the one near you have the self-checkouts?
That's all they have.
Oh, yeah.
No. The one near me will not put in the self-checkouts because too much will walk out the door.
Well, they already have
really?
self-checkout. They just
self-walk.
You've got the self-checkout and the self-walkout.
Right. And so they do not have self-checkout. They only have registers, and they only have like one open maybe.
Hey, they don't pay me to work there, so.
Right.
Well, I'll find the one that's open.
Yeah.
And the poor girl that doesn't want me to be there.
Yes.
Looking at me like there are 7 self-checkout lanes open.
You could go
Yeah,
to
I
any
want
one
you
of
to
them.
continue to have a job.
Right. And I don't bag my own groceries.
No.
So there.
Right.
I don't do it right, as I've been told by my wife numerous times.
You obviously
So-
haven't had the training.
I'm going to bypass that whole business and let you do it for me.
So I have a great story about the Walmart over by Brian. This was probably 10 years ago. I was in the checkout line, which is normally 25 or 30 people long.
Yes, of course.
And as I'm standing in the checkout line, I hear the telltale sound of a beer can opening, that psh sound.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I look next to me, and there's an old dude, got to be 80 years old, in like his little hover around scooter. And he cracked a beer out of the 30-pack he had between his legs.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at him, and he looks at me, and he goes, "You want one?" So the manager proceeds to come up and say, like, to this guy, "Sir, you can't do that here." He goes, "What are you going to do? Throw me out?" You know.
So here's a story that's not very Walmart, and I will try to make it quick. But you reminded me of it when, this gentleman, wanted to give you beer. So I was at and now it totally escapes me, a Rotary Club. Okay. I was invited to go speak to a local Rotary Club about marketing. Okay. They wanted a marketing professional. I've been in marketing off and on throughout the years. So they said, come and speak to Rotary Club. And I had mentioned my love for horror films and stuff like that, during my my little presentation. And afterwards, one of the Rotary Club members came up to me and said, I've got what you might consider a scary story. And I'm always up to hear anything, bizarre. So I said, yeah, you lay it on me. What do you got? So he was talking about a time in his life where he would never turn down a beer. And as it turns out, he was also fond of road beers at that time. So he was stopped at a stoplight and he had taken a drink of his road beer and he looked over and there was a guy stopped at the stoplight beside him that looked at him and held up a 12-pack and was like, hey, you want to have another beer? and the guy, being just a down and out alcoholic, was like, yes, I'll take your free beer, sir. And they pull into a parking lot off the main road, and this was around the greater Chicagoland area, right? And he proceeds to have a beer with this guy, and then the guy, his true intentions come out, and he says, hey, listen, I've got more beer at my house. At which I was like, they've also got more beer at the liquor store, and I'd rather go to the liquor store than your house. So about 6 to 9 months later, he's in a program. He's sobering up. He's back with his girlfriend at the time, and they're watching TV, and there's this gentleman being arrested, and the guy goes, holy shit, that's the guy that wanted me to come back to his house and have a few beers with him. Some guy Gacy.
Oh,
Yeah. So once the story is relayed to me, I'm like, first of all, that's a great story. It's terrifying. But yeah, that was what I got out of the Rotary Club. I don't even remember what I said there.
Yeah, he had a beer with
John Wayne
John
Gacy
Wayne
story.
Gacy.
So the guy in the hover round might have been the real Gacy,
Might
the
have
one that
been.
got away.
Right.
Rob,
It was just funny because, like,
did he slide a hand? Anything that a clown might do?
It was just hysterical because, like, dude is like so calm and casual. Like, you want one?
Did he hold up a beer and then slide his hand and 2 beers were there?
He did have a free puppy sign around his neck.
And always do.
How many beers did you drink with him?
I was clean, so fortunately I was spared the beer, but I woke up in the woods and I really don't know what happened.
All I know is that dirty bastard had a permanent marker.
Yeah, that's all I know.
And the things he said were disgraceful. Speaking of disgraceful things, guys with permanent markers and sleight of hand, let's go ahead and do our nice little news intro. Look at the production value for this show.
It's amazing.
We've got bumpers. Yep. We've got bumpers. So every week, of course, we scour the planet for the worst things that could happen, and we have to look no further than not only our very own country, but the state of Florida.
Yeah, see, now this one you guys should worry about because this one actually is, it happened in Indiana, but it was a Florida man that had escaped the great dick-shaped state of Florida.
If he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be Indiana.
Right.
Yeah.
So Google Maps Street View could soon feature breakneck snapshots of an in-progress police pursuit after a Florida man who claimed to work for the mapping tech giant led Middletown, Indiana police officers on a high-speed chase, all while a 360-degree camera was mounted to the roof of his car. This is a Florida man name if there ever was one. Coleman Ferguson is currently being held in the Henry County Jail, where he faces one count of resisting law enforcement with a vehicle, a level 6 felony. So according to the Middleton Police Department, the Google Maps Street View car was clocked driving past Shenandoah High School on US 36 at speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour. And it was in a 40-mile-per-hour zone. So they chased him down, and he ran a red light, lost control of the car, and ended up in a creek. And
what is it about white trash finding creeks?
I don't know.
It's like you get like 12 Pabst Blue Ribbon in somebody, and if they're from the Midwest, they're instantly a fucking dowsing rod.
And is it pronounced a crick?
That's my crick.
It's a crick.
It's a crick. I'm sorry.
It's somewhere between a creek and a crack.
Yeah.
It's a crick.
It's caused by the crack.
After being taken into custody, Ferguson told the police he worked for Google and was scared to stop. Working for Google?
It's because of the demands that Google places upon their employees.
Yeah. We need this road mapped. No.
This wasn't a designated break.
You got to pee in the car.
I'd like to see the footage from the camera. I think
I hadn't worked for 5 continuous hours yet. I can't take a break.
It's going to be amazing when they do release the footage from that car, because it's going to be like people are like, "There's my house."
I think it'd be great if like Jeff Bezos actually called the cop. I heard this gentleman took a undesignated break.
So that's what I got for Florida Man tonight.
We've got a great show lined up for everyone tonight. We have Stacie Berry of MCPI Paranormal Investigations, and she's going to be talking about just that tonight with us. So how are you doing, Stacie?
Doing good, thank you.
So we're a bit lopsided for a change. We've got more people from the greater New York area than we do from the Midwest on the show tonight. A little bit outnumbered. So where are you speaking to us from, Stacie?
I'm right in the city of Rochester.
Glorious city of Rochester. So if you could you give us a little bit of a background on who you are, where you're coming from, and how you got into paranormal investigation and specifically MCPI?
I started when I was 2, right, Rob?
Exactly.
Okay. I actually joined
some child labor laws being horribly.
Right?
She refuses. See, I keep telling people that Stacie and I started together, at exactly the same time, 23 years ago. So she started when she was 2 because she's only 25.
Definitely. So yes, we started at the same time, Rob and I, with another group in the Rochester area. And then Rob began Monroe County Paranormal, and I joined him a few years after that. So by day, I'm a teacher in the city, just like Brian. Yeah. Okay.
And no, they're not married.
We're not. Although it's been mentioned by several clients. Is that your wife? No. No, she just yells at me like she is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what else my background is. So I got into the paranormal just because I was always interested in like the horror films and horror genre. And that's kind of how it began. And now I boss everyone around in MCPI.
Now we know that Brian falls a little more on the side of a skeptic. So on that sliding scale, where would you say you are, Stacie?
I am more on the believer side. Definitely more of the believer side. I do like to disprove things if I can, but I'm definitely more on the believer side. And far away from Brian.
And has there been anything significant that has pushed you further in that direction?
I probably at the Sally House in Kansas when I heard my name on an EVP. That kind of pushed me a little bit more to the believer side. And just some of the things I've experienced in my years of paranormal investigating. One of the places that we're going to talk about tonight at the Union Tavern that also pushed me over to the believer side a little bit more.
Now, Rob, let's chime in here since you obviously have a history with Stacie investigating. When did Stacie come into MCPI? And give us a little bit of the background on that, Rob.
So I left the group that we were with after 2 years, and that was in 2002. And I started MCPI in 2002, and you jumped over, what, 2005?
Probably.
Right around 2005. And it was kind of a natural fit for us, because when we did investigate with the other group, it was Stacie and I generally ended up working together a lot. And it just kind of worked out that when she was, leaving that other group and was still looking to do paranormal investigation, I was in desperate need of a case manager, someone that could handle, some cases, because at the time, it was just Kathy and myself and a rotating cast of whoever we could get, to be the other members of the group. And having Stacie come in was awesome, because I knew I needed a case manager. I needed someone with experience, and I needed someone that could speak to clients, across many ranges. And she was perfect. She's going to record that and play it back forever, but
definitely,
I will tell you that I'm very lucky to have the crew that I have, and very lucky to have Brian and Stacie and Adam and Melissa and all the people in MCPI.
Now, is there something specific, Stacie, that you feel that you bring to the group?
Organization.
God.
Hey, he asked.
I'm making you a shirt that just says "Boss Bitch."
I should have that. No, I think it is that, and like Rob said, just being able to talk to clients, and because we have had a plethora of different types of clients, so I think it's being able to talk to them and calm them, and until we can get out to their residence.
Now, we were given some clips that we're going to show the audience tonight, and these clips are from one specific location, correct?
Yes, from a restaurant in the Seabreeze area of Rochester.
Union Tavern. Kelly from Union Tavern's been on the show before. So these are the videos of Buddy on the stairs. Stace?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We have 2 videos of Buddy on the stairs, and then I think we have an EVP of Buddy too.
Okay, we've got a couple ways that we can play these. We've got one. It's a little bit of a longer clip, so we can scrub through some of it to get to the parts that might be of more interest. Let's see if we can't get this clip up. There's a Rob and Stacie on stairs MP4. Could you give us a bit of a breakdown on what we're about to see?
So Rob and I were sitting on the stairs of the Union Tavern, and we were getting some activity on what we call an EMF detector. I don't know, Brian, if you want to kind of talk about what EMF is. You do better than I do with that one.
Electromagnetic field. So the theory is that, if there are spirits, activity, whatever you want to call it, they have to manifest, they're going to use energy. And you might be able to measure that on an EMF meter. And there's many different kinds, K2 meters. Not exactly sure what the name of the one that is used in this clip, but this one just uses some beeps and flashing lights. Whenever the signal gets stronger, the light flashes quicker.
And you're using that in a very particular way, though.
Yeah, so we're asking questions. It hasn't happened many times where we can actually have a full conversation with an EMF. It did happen at the Union Tavern. One other time was at a theater in Rochester with Brian. But yeah, so we started asking questions and it started responding. And then we also got an EVP that coincided with that. So that was like our double evidence to kind of help prove it. But yeah, we were asking specific questions and asking for it to get closer to the EMF detector for yes and stay away from it, and not to make it blink for no.
And I'll also say this about an EMF meter. There's nothing on the meter itself that you can manipulate to make the lights light up more or less.
And what brought you to the conclusion that this could be used for this?
I think just experimenting and just trying, really. We would ask questions, and when it actually was responding, we were like, whoa. So the first time we just started doing that, oh gosh, years ago. So now in every investigation, we try to have a conversation. And like I said, it doesn't happen very often, but it did here at the Union Tavern.
And it's happened probably 10 times since this one.
At the Union Tavern, yes.
Yeah.
Every time we go, pretty much.
So every time we go there, we kind of get more responses from this spirit, this entity that's on the stairs that Stacie and I have named Buddy.
So let's see if we can't play some of this footage. We'll try it one way first, see if we get any audio, and then if we can't, we'll try it another way. But we should be able to hear the audio on this. At least I'm hoping that we can. So let's see if I can't share this with you. And again, let me know if we are getting audio or not. It's actually not wanting to play at all.
I don't think it's playing yet.
Okay, here we go.
No, we would be
No, we're
talking
not getting
already.
audio.
Yeah, no audio.
Okay, so we're not hearing any audio on
No.
your end. Okay, let's see if we can't do something here. Okay, we're going to try something a little bit different, which should be fine. We're going to try a way that we usually do it.
Just up to the
Second.
first knuckle, right?
And we'll pull it up. Right, exactly. Okay.
That's actually a great way to make rice in a steamer, just so you know. Just up to the first knuckle.
Oh, okay.
Works every time. Perfect rice.
Okay.
See if this works.
Yeah, and this should be easier for us to do. So we should be able to hear the sound now on this one. And we'll do it this way. We'll share the tab audio.
It's right at the top there, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Are you what would be considered a child? Okay, thank you. Can you step away? Was it your mother?
Was it your mom that fell down the stairs? Nope.
Was it your brother that fell down the stairs? Okay, thank you, thank you. Were you counting for us earlier? Were you showing us that you can count?
Okay.
Thank you.
Back
Step
up for a
back.
minute.
Step back.
Were you
Thanks, buddy.
Were you counting the day that your brother fell down the stairs? No.
How old he was?
Do you think? Okay, back up for a minute. No, you're not allowed to answer if it's just in my head. Back up for 1 second.
Well, I said, or his age, how old he was.
were you wishing that you counted for your brother that day so he didn't miss a step? Okay, can you back it up one more time?
So if you could walk us through a little bit of what's happening here, for people who haven't seen anything like this, what typically are we seeing? What's actually happening here?
So this was the second time we sat down that night. The first time we, asked Buddy, who we don't know if that's his name. That's just what we call him. But we asked Buddy if, he wanted us to leave him alone for a little bit. He said yes. So we said he would come back later. So this was the second time. And we were trying to figure out if he was a child, and why he was on the stairs. So we were asking questions, hoping that it would light up for yes. The times that it wasn't lighting up, we made the assumption that that was a no. And it's also we ask the questions at a different rate. So it's not always like every minute we're asking a question, just so we can make sure that it's not being thrown off by natural causes.
Like something cyclical, yeah.
Yeah. So we were just kind of trying to figure out who was on the stairs, and trying to figure out who the spirit was, and get more information. So then we can go back to the Union Tavern at the end of our investigation after we've reviewed all this evidence, and we can, go to them and say, this is what we think is happening, and see if they have any stories that coincide.
Was there any backstories to that where they had?
Yeah, there's a lot.
A lot.
Right.
Every time we go in, there's someone else that tells us a story about the stairs. And it's usually someone's starting to trip or fall, and they are steadied. There was a little girl. There's an amusement park right across the street from the restaurant. A little girl was all sugared up from the amusement park, was running up and down the stairs and slipped, and then just pretty much stood right back up again, where she should have fallen right down the stairs. So there's been many stories of people that have tripped or started to fall that have been studied on the stairs. Every time we go in, we get a new one.
Has there been any stories about possibly who the little boy might be?
It is such a long history there.
Yeah, the foundation of the building goes back to 1819.
Oh, wow.
So do we think anyone passed away from falling down the stairs? No, I can't find any records of that. We have tried to do research on that. So if someone just fell down the stairs and hurt themselves, it wouldn't be something that might, have been reported. So it's hard to fall, but we have not found specific evidence of anyone falling down the stairs yet. But yeah.
Now, is there anything more in this specific clip that we want to highlight?
I think that was the main one. The other clip has our first interaction with him. If you wanted to share that, or we can go on to another haunted history trail.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the other video we have here, if you don't.
I actually
Thank you
like.
for coming close. Can you move away from that red light now and make it stop? Great job. Can you go close to it again one more time and make it light up? That is awesome.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you just to step back so that it stops. Please.
Step back a little bit further. Good job. Keep going. Good job.
Okay. You wanted me to stay on the stairs? Do you have a message for me?
Okay. Step back.
Did something happen to you on these stairs?
No.
Are you trying to prevent something from happening on these stairs?
Okay. Back up again.
Stace, do you find it funny every time we watch
You're
this,
doing
we
really
notice
good.
like a little something up? Like, are you noticing that he tries to hang right near the meter?
Are you afraid someone's going to fall?
Okay, back it up again. Did you know someone that has fallen on these stairs before?
What I do notice is that he gets a better.
Okay, back up again. You're doing great.
Absolutely.
And how common is it for this interaction to
Do
be
you
this
stay on these
responsive?
stairs to protect people?
Not common at all.
In the 23 years that I've been doing this, I've only seen it happen in 3 locations.
So I'm very interested in this two-way communication that we see with almost any kind of device. And we do see people use these spirit boxes, correct?
Mhm.
What are your guys' interpretation of that? Because I have seen some footage that seems downright startling with people using some of these boxes. Has it been something that you've had any experience with?
Yes, we did an investigation at the Memorial Art Gallery here in Rochester, and we had a spirit box going, and there were 4 investigators in this room, and the spirit box cycled through and named 3 of the 4 investigators in the room.
And you could hear it. It was
It was
audible.
very clear. Yeah.
Now, I've been hearing that there's this because apparently they're always upgrading these things, right?
Yeah.
And I see that a lot, that there's like a alphanumeric designation of this being the current, widely available box in the market, and then there's another one coming out. I've been seeing clips of the past month of a couple of investigators talking about one that's not out yet, but that is supposed to have these spectacular results. Has anyone heard any wind of this? Because a couple of clips I've seen have been fascinating, to say the least.
Most likely it's used on a television show
Yeah. Yeah.
already. I mean, I get excited over all those little tools all the time, but I'm not rich, so.
But those specifically, the spirit boxes, what is your take on the technology there? Is this something that can be improved upon? Can it be perfected? Because some of the clips that I've seen looks like genuine two-way communication with the other side, something that is almost, I would say, in a way that it's very hard to dispute it.
Yeah, I have seen those. There was many videos of, it's very, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's pretty much just answers right after. It's not flipping through the radio stations like our normal
Yeah.
spirit box.
If,
And those, I don't know how they work. I don't know how much I can.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how you would go about kind of perfecting something like that. And obviously, yes, I lean towards the skeptical side sometimes very heavily. But when things like what we had happen occur, I have no explanation for that. And the fact that it's happened numerous times. Now I look at something like, I'd have to try something like that out.
Yeah.
The kind of put my faith in it, just because, if there's something like that out there on the television shows have to make money, and
Of course, yeah, and
something
no
else.
matter how real these reality TV programs are, there's still a very scripted aspect to them.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, let's face it, if they kept getting the same results every show, then there's really nothing there to keep viewers coming back. There's no high points or low points. It's sort of even keel, and it doesn't really make for great television.
no.
So
And the
you've
number
got to
of
have something there that is a narrative and an
Right.
ongoing narrative, or else again, you're not going to put asses in seats as far as viewership.
Right. And that's something we talk about all the time. Like, there's so many times we'll go out on an investigation and we'll investigate for hours and have nothing, no evidence, nothing. And it's amazing how that never happens on the shows. Just every time they're able to grab something. So
now this is less paranormal, but more still fringe and specifically ufology. But at one point in time, I had spent a lot of time talking to UFO magazine owner and UFO hunter personality Bill Byrne, who's been doing this for a very, very long time. And he had talked, strangely enough, about a few episodes of the series where he felt that they almost had smoking gun footage that the network didn't want to show. Like, it was sort of the opposite, where instead of them, cutting out a lot of the more mundane, banal stuff, he said that they were cutting a lot of the more outlandish, more just crazy stuff. There's obviously got to be some kind of, agenda there. And I'm not saying from a conspiratorial perspective, but just from a scripted narrative perspective, that somebody's got to be looking at the stuff going, no, not this episode, or this is this is finale footage, or we've got
Right.
a location that might work, so we're just cutting this out altogether. But to unfortunately, huge detriment to the show itself.
I think what happens is that they play so much evidence on a lot of these shows that if they had like really hardcore smoking gun, in your face evidence, they'd be hard pressed to show it, because then all the other evidence that they've collected over all these other episodes is going to pale in comparison.
Or then it's going to seem like the series finale. Like, where do we go from here?
Right.
Because we've just plateaued so high.
Right.
And I do believe that probably does happen. And it's like, all right, so Brian being the skeptic, we've talked to him several times about his skepticism. And we sent you an EVP from another location that is on the New York Haunted History Trail. And Ash, you and I have been friends for a long time, and
this is one that was sent to me recently, correct? This wasn't
Not
in the
from
same
me.
location. Different location. Okay.
No, different location, but I'm a hardcore believer. That I want to believe in this stuff. This particular EVP, Brian, was the one that was trying to sell me on the fact that there was something there.
You made me so angry that night.
It really was bizarro world. Like,
okay, let's see if I can bring that up too,
Okay.
so that we've got a frame of reference here. Because I believe, Rob, you sent that to me personally, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm not for sure. So I think I'm gonna have to download this real quick.
Okay. Well, we can give you
I
the
can.
We can do the, yeah.
We can do some background. So Stacie, Melissa, and I were in the basement of this location called Hose 22. It's an old firehouse turned into a restaurant. And I was kind of just walking around, asking questions, checking out the location. We had just gotten there.
We were still setting up all of our stuff.
Right. We were there less than 10 minutes. And I was just kind of walking around, checking out different things. And I heard a voice ask a question. So I responded to the question, and Stacie and Melissa are like, yeah, we know it's you. We know you're there. And I was like, so who asked that? Who asked that question? And they go, no one asked that question. So when you are able to play this, you'll hear the question that I was actually asked by, I don't know what.
Yeah, let's see if you guys can hear the audio. If not, we'll have to try it a different way.
Okay.
So let me know if you hear it.
I do not hear it.
Okay.
50 Shades of Little. You said, I have to ask you guys, do you think objects like Annabelle could really have evils? Yes, there are.
Yes.
There's a haunted doll in St. Augustine, Florida called Robert the doll. And Ash, and remember we did the episode on Robert the doll.
Yes.
Many years ago, we did an episode on Robert the doll, who is a haunted, possessed doll.
If someone could actually email me that audio, it would be easier. In Messenger, I'm actually just not comfortable with everyone seeing all of my personal information on Facebook.
Okay, give me 1 second. I will do that.
Not that there's anything damning on there, but
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll get it to you right now.
all I know is that I am friends with a lot of celebrities.
It's going to go to info, right?
There.
Ash, you want it to info? Right?
What are you saying, Rob?
That Ash wants it to info,
Robert.
right?
Info at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You should have it in your, it should be there now.
No, I think he said it on Messenger. He wanted it.
No, he doesn't want it.
Yeah, we
He
can't.
has it on Messenger. He doesn't want to show.
Oh, got it.
But yes, 50 Shades of Little. You know, we've gone into cases all over the place where we've had people purchase antiques and things like that, and then all of a sudden things start happening. And the new common denominator would be the antique in the house. So yes, that kind of thing does happen. Are they completely exaggerated in the movies and on TV? Absolutely. If things like Annabelle actually really did happen the way it was portrayed in the movie, every paranormal investigator in the entire world would be camped out in that person's front lawn trying to get into that house.
Well, the real Annabelle is boring as hell anyway.
Yeah, it's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, I mean,
Have there ever been reports of haunted sex dolls, like real dolls?
I have one.
Does it mean that you have a story, or that yours is personally haunted?
I don't
by
want to
it?
talk about it.
Right.
So do you remember
Any pictures of any excessive amounts of ectoplasm coming out of that particular? No.
Do you remember the show Crank Yankers, Ash?
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I do.
Okay.
Really?
Let's play the EVP and then we'll go back to that.
Yeah, let's see if we can play the EVP real quick, and we should be able to hear it now. So.
It's me. I'm back.
Okay, so what are we hearing?
It might be hard for people to hear, but if you really, pay
It's not
attention-
hard, but I think people will think that it's a person. So
It is
the
not a
first
person.
thing you hear, the first words you hear are not a person that was on that team.
Okay, so let's play it again. And what should those words be? What words are
can't
we
say
looking
that.
for?
We don't want to say right away. We want you to see if you can hear them.
Okay,
So push your headphones onto your head real tight so you can hear real well.
they already are.
No, I'm serious. That's the
You don't
best way to
even
do
need the
EVP
headphones.
work. It's me. I'm back.
Is this like a female voice?
It
yeah,
sounds,
it sounds like a female voice saying it's here.
yeah.
That's what I heard, but
What we think we heard was "Who's there."
I can see that.
and that's why I swear I heard someone say "Who's there," and I said, "It's me. I'm back here." And then, if we had let the clip roll longer, you would have heard Stacie and Melissa go, "Yeah, we know you're back there." And like, idiot, we know where you are.
Okay,
And I
so
was
I'm,
like, no,
I'm gonna play this again though. Now that we've talked about what it is we're looking to hear, and see if anybody watching actually has their own interpretation. So I am actually squeezing my head most of my head.
Okay. It's me. I'm back.
Okay, I'm gonna play it one more time. Okay, because I think it needs to be played. I want to listen to it again.
Okay. It's me. I'm back.
I can hear it.
Oh yeah. I mean, to me, that is most certainly a voice.
No, yeah, no.
That is a human voice.
What it's saying is what I would question, but I'm also a skeptic, Brian.
All right. What's interesting to me is, and it's extremely rare for us to capture a voice, but also hear it while we're there. And for Rob to actually answer this question tells us he actually heard it audibly in that cooler. And that's why that background hiss is so loud, because he's in a cooler at the time.
And I mean, my answer was, it's me. I'm back here. You know, I distinctly heard a voice say, "Who's there?"
Right.
And you know, I answered the question like, "It's me." And of course, I got, you know, a sassy answer back from Stacie.
So,
but then what happened was that we all listened to it, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty clear that says who's there. And it became a reverse argument with Rob, who's normally trying to convince me of what something is saying.
He swore it was one of us. Yeah, but it's not on our recorder, so it wasn't one of us.
Right. It wasn't on your recorder.
Or Melissa's.
And so it was only captured on Rob's. And it sounds fairly close. And they were not close to him at the time.
So let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit here, because I've got a question that I want us to discuss.
Okay.
And I think it is one that it should be a very discussed question, but it seems to get passed over a lot. We determined that there are certain methods that allow some kind of two-way communication. And we determined that there's certain technologies that allow it better or allow it for worse. But what do you think it means overall that we have technology that can do it? Because we're talking about something that's very ethereal here. And we're talking about this membrane between, you know, the living and the past. If we're looking at a technology that can allow two-way communication, what else do you think is possible with the right kind of technology? Do you think that we could ever get to a point where we could both see and hear these entities, you know, as if we're on a video phone?
Funny you should ask that. You know, even as skeptical as I am, I mean, now we're, you know, in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years, SLS technology with like the Xbox Connect that shoots infrared grid across, you know, an area. And now there's computer programs where it'll pick up stick figures. Just like, you know, when you're using an Xbox Connect to play a video game, you don't need a controller. Your body's the controller, and it maps you. Now, when you're shooting into a room, and every now and then, a stick figure will show up where there's no one there. So it's mapping something.
So we're getting a hint of, at least in my opinion, of being on the right track. That there's a trajectory there, but we're just sort of on the cusp.
I think the biggest thing that we face is skepticism, because excuse me, I don't necessarily mean skepticism like Brian's skepticism. I mean skepticism in you know, in all aspects of it. You know, the fact that, you know, we have all these declassified UFO footages and all these kind of things, and, you know, people are still calling bullshit. All right. So what you're telling me is that these, you know, retired Air Force pilots who, you know, saw these things happen and can't explain them, they're all lying. What are they gaining from lying? You know, and that's the problem that we have, is that we live in such a skeptical society that I think you could literally create a device that, you know, can you talk to grandma, and it's grandma, and on the other side, and people are going to go, yeah, you just had a picture of grandma and you made it talk, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be that skepticism no matter what.
Ron in our chat room brings up something interesting, and I don't know if anyone had heard of this story, but Ron says that Alexander Graham Bell believed that he could make a phone that could connect the deceased.
Yeah, he was very much into the spiritualist movement. He was a spiritualist for a while, and was very much involved in that.
So, again, I feel like what we have, unfortunately, is we've got very very science-minded people who don't necessarily have the hard science training or the money to take this burgeoning sort of field of communication and totally explode or run with it, because it feels like that's what we need. It feels like we've got things that we stumble upon, for example, the infrared, or things that we stumble upon with whatever technology is inside the spirit box, for example. But where would we be if we had, or and again, this might be another rabbit hole conversation. Do you think that there are entities out there, many entities like corporate entities, that have taken this technology and ran with it? I would have to think, if we've got guys like Bezos, okay, if we've got guys like Jeff Bezos, we've got guys like Zuckerberg, who we both know have had multiple conversations within their own organizations about creating a digital afterlife. Okay, so they have been in actual conversations about how they can upload their consciousness to this metaverse.
Right. They're playing Ready Player One.
If they're that interested, in that aspect of it, I would have to believe that one of those men with that kind of money has sank R&D money into some of the things that we're talking about. I would almost have to think that they would. If they've got that interest, tangentially, they've sunk money into something like that, and I wonder what the results were with the kind of money that they had.
That's a good question.
It may be the reason why they keep driving towards that digital afterlife. The answers that they've received may be the reason why they're driving that direction.
And that's an interesting observation, because that might lead us to believe that this is maybe a Russian doll. Are we really looking at what we would believe to be an afterlife in the sense of one place, or are we looking at an afterlife in the sense of it being a simulation? Are we talking to someone that's part of the game that's controlling us? Or are we talking to someone who's part of the game that we can't play yet? Is this layers of reality?
You and I have talked about this ad infinitum, where we like tangential realities, and all the different. You and I have had all kinds of personal conversations about this kind of stuff. Where there are people that still believe wholeheartedly today that we are nothing but a dream in another person's brain. And
I tend to go down those rabbit holes specifically when I look at communication devices, because of it being technologically driven. Something ethereal seems more to me like we would be using ritual and magic or something. It seems to be more in that realm than it seems to be in a technologically driven realm. In a technologically driven realm, it's like, oh, we're just tuning into the right channel. And that channel might be something, again, that might lend itself to an idea of multiple simulations. It's been theorized that that the idea of us being a prime reality is extremely low.
Yeah.
Extremely low.
Yep.
That we are existing in a prime reality.
Yeah, we're an alternate reality to something else. Absolutely.
Well, in infinite realities, how could anybody be a prime reality? I mean, that's...
Are we just picking up language from the programmers? is there just a room full of developers, and we just happen to we're just turning almost into their comms, almost, and we're picking up their microphones.
And this is the difficult part of this field, right? Is that maybe, right? Like the people ask me, a lot of these really good questions about the paranormal, about, what do you think about this? And my most honest answer is I don't know for a lot of the stuff, because can I definitively prove a lot of it? No. I can just tell you what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I've caught on audio, video, things like that.
And I think that's where like the trouble lies, is that we have a society that, pictures or it didn't happen type of society. And, we can show you video all day long and, prove that it did happen. But then if it flies in the face of your reality, you're still going to say it didn't happen.
Well, since we're nearing the top of the hour, and I want Stacie to answer one more question, and that question usually is something that borders on an experience that might have been extreme, we're going to cut right to what I think is the most divisive piece of technology we have here on the show, and that is the pant shitometer.
And shitometer. Jesus Christ.
Technology has very rarely rivaled with any other show that has stupidity to play it, such as ours. So I am asking Stacie, what is that one incident, that one thing that really stands out where you said to yourself, oh shit, that's unexpected, or that's solidifying some of these ideas that I have, or it definitely reinforced a belief that you had.
Something.
And 50 Shades of Little.
Brain.
50 Shades of Little just asked the same question in our chat room.
Right. And do we need to play the clip again? Remind you.
That's probably the scariest thing she's ever seen.
How very specific this technology is.
And shitometer. Jesus Christ.
This has nothing to do with the wonderful world of soft serve ice cream, by the way, but continue.
Ash, is that you doing the voiceover for the pants shitometer?
I did everything for it.
I love it.
All the video clips are specifically mine too.
Well done.
But yes, that I am the voice.
I love it.
We got to break the fourth wall here. I am the voice of the pants shitometer.
I love it.
Who was the voice of Ew Gross?
That was probably just a clip that I found.
Okay.
Right. I can do like circa turn of the century vaudevillian carnival barker, but I can't say ooh gross in a Valley Girl way.
And you do you do an amazing Nicolas Cage.
That's how limited I am.
You can, it's fairly easy to find a clip of ew gross. It's probably very difficult to find a clip of pants shitometer.
It was, and it was an exhaustive search until finally I stepped up. And
you have to at that point.
So Stacie, if you could, what was that moment?
I'm not going to bring up Murder House because I don't think that was that moment, and I know that's what you were thinking, Brian.
I was thinking.
Of course, I was.
It was a
pants shitometer.
Really? It wasn't that bad.
No, just in terms of. Never mind. That's a story for another show.
I would say Sallie House in Kansas, just because it has a demonic history. Not that I believe completely in it. We're sitting in a room. I had something called a real-time EVP, so it was like a 3-second delay where I could hear responses to questions. And someone asked, what could we do to help you show yourself? And it said, whatever was there, I'm thinking you should leave Stacie. So that probably was my scariest moment because it was the first time I heard my name.
Okay. And before we go, if we could also speak to your involvement regionally and the New York side of things and the importance of your inclusion in that.
Oh, the Haunted History Trail?
Yes.
Okay.
There's many actually places on the Haunted History Trail, but we are a part of 2 at the moment, soon to be part of 3. We are part of the winery at Margin Manor where we do public hunts. We are also part of Union Tavern where we do public investigations as well. And then soon to be part of Hose 22. So they have contacted us to do investigations in their establishments and then to help them get their story, their history out and be part of this trail.
Well, we're very excited because we know that you guys work extremely hard. We know that you guys are able to do what you do without, first of all, charging little or any money. So it is a service that you offer that's obviously not financially driven. We can't wait to see what's coming your guys' way in the months ahead as we get into September and get into October. So we want to thank everyone for being on tonight. Brian for coming back on with us, Rob for showing your cherubic little face, and Stacie for sharing your MCPI investigation stories with us, as well as the video and the audio that we had tonight. As always, this is the fastest line on the internet. This is Night Terrors Radio. We've got a couple great shows lined up for you. Next Thursday, we'll be talking with horror film producer PJ Starks about some holiday-themed horror he's got coming up, which is pretty interesting. So we'll be looking at what he's got going on in the new year with New Fear. And that'll be PJ Stark. And then the week after that, we've got a bombshell guest that we can't even drop yet. It's so huge that we cannot drop our bombshell guest. It's so huge that it blew Brian completely out of the podcast.
It's gone. That was it.
And you can, for those of you who are listening, if you want to look into MCPI a little bit further, you can find us on the internet at monroeghost.com, MONROE ghost.com. And on Facebook, we're at Monroe County Paranormal Investigations. And, you can always reach out to us, ask us questions. We love answering questions.
Well, again, thank you, everyone. We will be seeing you next week. As always, Night Terrors Radio premieres Thursday at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern. Everyone have themselves a great night.